Joyce. Thank you for tuning in to my podcast. This is part 2 of True Crime, the Pendragon Cult, and Murder in Camelot. Part 2. I almost wish this was part 1. Actually think that this part of the show helps somebody understand the entire story of the Pendragon Cult and Mark Richards and what really happened. Because it's sort of like self-explanatory. The first part is Jeff and Kevin and I going over a PowerPoint presentation. It's mainly a better thing to view if you're already familiar with the case. And there is an audience out there that is familiar with Captain Mark Richards, because Captain Mark Richards is known for being a secret space program hero. How that happened is quite interesting, and we will get to that in just a moment. But he was promoted through a YouTube channel. Primarily it was YouTube in the beginning. She might be very hard to find on YouTube now because she's been taken down, but it was Project Camelot with Carrie Cassidy. And Carrie Cassidy did these videos where she allegedly went in to meet with Mark Richards at the prison, wasn't able to bring a notebook or anything, had to remember what he said to her by memory, and she would come out in front of a camera and retell his story of how he was in the secret space program, which involves reptilians and, a spaceship that only allows him to fly it, and this whole genre. He's the pinnacle in some ways of an entire genre of YouTube that believes that in Draco reptilians and a super soldier program where there are underground bases and people that are augmented psychic soldiers, and it crosses over in this entire folklore. And come to find out, there is a huge true crime background to Captain Mark Richards and what really took place. And before I do play the live stream, the recording of the live stream that I did with Kevin and Jeff Reed back at towards the end of June, we did the live stream. It was a 3-hour live stream with a lot of information in it. And then Kevin Moore took the footage that we did that night and redid it and reformatted it on his channel. And I'm actually mirroring that version of it over my version because I thought it would be different to have a different version here. He added different graphics and everything, and it looks a little bit different. And so I thought, well, let me show this on Anchor and on Spotify and Podbean and Apple Podcasts and everything else. So before I get into this, though, because I want to read you a little bit of the background of the real story, so you kind of get an overview of what you're looking at here. You won't be. I like to think of maybe you found this story. I don't know. You were Googling something and you went Pendragon Cult. What is that? And before you want to listen to the rest of it, you want to know what's going on. So I want to give it to you in a nutshell of what took place. Okay, so this is a website here. It's the Cult Education Institute. And they did a write-up about this case. The court restores murder conviction of man and Marin Pendragon Cult. This was KTVU and Bay City News, California, January 6, 2009. All right. San Francisco, a federal appeals court Tuesday reinstated the murder conviction of a man who was caught up in a cult conspiracy known as Pendragon that aimed at a paramilitary takeover of Marin County in 1982. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in San Francisco reversed a decision in which a federal judge in 2007 overturned the 1984 Marin County Superior Court conviction of Cross and Hoover, 43, for the crime of an antique car restorer, Richard Baldwin of San Rafael. I always say that wrong, and I should know better because I'm a Californian. San Rafael. All right, not Raphael. Hoover, who was 17 when he killed Baldwin, 39, by hitting him with a baseball bat and stabbing him with a screwdriver and chisel, July 6, 1982, allegedly at the direction of his employer, contractor, and Pendragon leader, Mark Richards. Prosecutors said the purpose of the crime was to obtain several $1,000s in cash carried by Baldwin. Hoover was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. Richards was separately convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. The Pendragon cult sought a paramilitary takeover of Marin County and a creation of a modern-day Camelot with Richards as King Arthur and his teenage workers as knights, according to the court rulings. Richards allegedly promoted plans and meetings with his workers to take over Marin County by destroying the Golden Gate Bridge and Richmond San Rafael bridges and placing a laser gun on top of Mount Tamalpais. I might have said that wrong. Hoover took his case to the federal courts after losing appeals in the state court system. U.S. Magistrate Judge James Larson overturned the conviction in 2007 because of a faulty jury instruction on insanity and alleged prosecution manipulation of evidence given to court-appointed psychiatrists. So this was a big deal back then. And also it involved Dungeons and Dragons. So it was one of the first Dungeon and Dragons type of cases as well. Mark Richards was a cult leader like Charles Manson. He inspired the other people to do the killing for him. And of course, there was this spiritual aspect to it. I think this is very interesting too. One fact that I think is interesting is that Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot also has a Camelot theme to her channel. And she has even admitted publicly that she believes that she is Guinevere reincarnated. So with further ado, I am going to start the live stream. Before I go, I do want to say that Not My Rabbit Hole is sponsored by greathempdeals.com. Please do visit that website, and you will receive a 5% discount on all CBD BioCare products. My favorite are my new favorite product that CBD BioCare has now is the CBD coffee pods. Good. Also, I love the CBD pet care products and also the CBD oil, and the roll-on is just really fantastic. We have specials going on all the time, but if you go to my site, you definitely get a 5% discount, and that is one way that you can help support the show. All right, with further ado, I shall play part 2.
I lost affection for everything in the fucking world in no time flat. Because I didn't feel anybody was fucking liking me. People are jacks. They're making me sick. I want to fight Pete every day. Every time I come home, I give him a sassy attitude. All I want to do is fight now. My mind's set on a fucking death course. I'm getting mean on the inside. I'm getting fucking mean. It's unbelievable. I'm getting fucking meaner than hell. This is bullshit. If I could lock me up with Mark. Just lock me up with Mark.
I'm not going to lock up with
You want to see another murder and lock me in with that fucking clown.
Why don't you hold his hand?
Crossy, is this the guy that you were working for?
Yes, Ma. And he just wanted me. I wanted so much fucking money. I wanted love. It's unbelievable. I wanted everything. That's why I tried. Because I wanted to make it for myself. Like everybody else does. I wanted to make it for myself. And when you left me here, I thought to myself, why can't I make it like every other fucking person makes it?
You were making it. You were so happy 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but then when more money came into my fucking eyesight, I fucking snapped.
This guy is about 26 years old.
29, 30, something like that. 30. 30, he just had a birthday, for sure. He's sick, Mom.
Kind of
Remember when I told you back when when you guys fucking thought I was nuts when I told you about Marin County? Remember that? Remember when I told you, oh, Marin County's gonna fucking go into one of these fucking helter-skelter, but nobody would listen to me. Nobody would listen to me. They all thought I was just fucking going off the wall. He's fucking going nuts. He's going nuts. My little sister freaked out with me. Freaked out on me, and I fucking drove me nuts. Because I didn't think she fucking cared about me anymore. And then they all just fucking...
Tapes of Crossy at that 17-year-old crying his eyes out, telling them what he did.
I lost affection for everything in the fucking world in no time flat. Because I didn't feel anybody was fucking liking me. People are jacks. They're making me sick. I want to fight Pete every day. Every time I come home, I give him a sassy attitude. All I want to do is fight now. My mind's set on a fucking death course. I'm getting mean on the inside. I'm getting fucking mean. It's unbelievable. I'm getting fucking meaner than hell. This is bullshit. If I hear you lock me up with Mark. Just lock me up with Mark.
I'm not going to lock up with
You want to see another murder and lock me in with that fucking clown.
Why don't you hold his hand?
Crossy, is this the guy that you were working for?
Yes, Ma. And he just wanted me. I wanted so much fucking money. I wanted love. It's unbelievable. I wanted everything. That's why I tried. Because I wanted to make it for myself. Like everybody else does. I wanted to make it for myself. And when you left me here, I thought to myself, why can't I make it like every other fucking person makes it?
You were making it. You were so happy 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but then when more money came into my fucking eyesight, I fucking snapped.
This guy is about 26 years old.
29, 30, something like that. 30. 30, he just had a birthday, for sure. He's sick, Mom. Remember when I told you back when you guys fucking thought I was nuts when I told you about Marin County? Remember that? Remember when I told you, oh, Marin County's gonna fucking go into one of these fucking helter-skelter, but nobody would listen to me. Nobody would listen to me. They all thought I was just fucking going off the wall. He's fucking going nuts. He's going nuts. My little sister freaked out with me. Freaked out on me, and I fucking drove me nuts. Because I didn't think she fucking cared about me anymore. And then they all just fucking just didn't even exist in my fucking life anymore. So I started feeling for myself. Just like anybody else would. And so I turned fucking savage. I want to get Mark back for this. You kept telling us all this shit. Every fucking realistically and fucking that other word.
What was he telling you?
Oh, well, we're going to have so much of everything, kids.
How was Andrew involved? He was there?
He wasn't there when I did this. He was at the house when we went. Andrew, all he did was he was a thief, Mark was a brain, and I was a murderer.
Could you elaborate a little bit about what kind of things Mark told you to get you so antagonized like that? Or make you feel the way you feel?
And I told him, what kind of type of people I don't like. I guess that was a fucking mistake right there. Because everything that I told him, half the questions that I said were inside what this guy did. So that's
So
just.
he built up a pretty bad picture of what Dick was in your mind, right?
And I just flipped.
How'd you meet Mark?
Through a guy named Willie, and he took off to fucking Navy.
How long ago?
A week. Monday. He left Monday.
No, I mean, okay, how long ago did you meet Mark? I'm sorry.
3 months. 3 or 4 months. Fucking damn mother. Oh, where is he? Just let me have him for 10 minutes.
Well, is he saying that?
He's telling lies out his asshole, Mom. The guy never told the truth to us, so why should he tell the police the truth? He's never told. The people we work for, he never told the truth to.
Well, if Andrew wasn't there, he's only an accessory.
He's
Isn't
not an accessory, Mom. He helped me touch the guy. He just carried the guy. So he's just like by him. See, Mark. See,
And
the
Mark
thing
was
is
just
that money
standing in the background.
talks and crime walks. That's all that Mark did to us. Because Andrew is just like me. If there's money around, that guy's greedy for money, just like I am, because he doesn't have nothing either. So we all want money. And then when he told us there
So
was
while
money
you
involved,
two were doing all this little dirty work,
He
was
wasn't
just
doing
standing there
shit.
watching.
he was watching the whole time, handing me screwdrivers, handing me knives,
He handed you the knife.
and screwdriver. I slapped. When I hit him in the, listen, I crushed his head. I hit him once, I stepped back 10 feet. I came back in, hit him about 3 times. I stepped back again, his hand went back for his back like he was gonna get a gun. I stepped over onto his chest. I slammed the fucking screwdriver through. I put a knife up there. I stepped on the knife crumbled into a billion pieces. I grabbed another regular knife, screwdriver. I stuck it through the side of his head, and I stuck one through the side, right there in the temple, and I turned it around like a blender.
These people, like Joanne, you know, have said they've read all the court transcripts and there's flaws within it all. Some of the flaws that she speaks about are just so crazy. And I put it to the retired, deputy.
Actually,
Play a video. Let's just play a video. Okay, let's just go. I'm gonna skip bits. Let's just go from the very beginning.
Okay.
So this is retired Deputy DA Edward Berberian, 42 years. He put Mark away, and he was at many of the parole hearings across St. Hoover over the years. I asked him what was it like to meet Ellen Baldwin and what this murder did to her and her family. And he talks about it. It was just devastating.
Yeah, my perspective on this is I just want to make sure that it's very clear really who Mark Richards is. And a lot of this bizarre stuff that I now see that's out there is just very strange.
In all the cases you've done, what was different about this case?
This one, just the use of, I guess, use of the fantasy tale to try to entice and recruit the people he wanted to help him commit this murder and theft that he ultimately set this whole thing up to accomplish. And the way he did it, the way that he developed this plot was different than what you see in many cases that you deal with.
Thank you. So this is going to we're going to get back into the case a little bit. This still relates to it, but have you kept up with the, and we want to call it nonsense, of what's being posted about Mark Richards currently?
To be honest, no, I have not been following that on a regular basis. It was until your folks kind of reached out to me and said, you know, here's what we've been finding. I did some quick Google research to see some of this stuff, and yeah, it's very strange. But I was not, you know, regularly every month or year trying to figure out what Mark Richards was doing. He just is a very disturbed young man. I mean, not young man anymore, but was a very disturbed young man. I think very narcissistic and compelled to try to accomplish things from a money standpoint that he couldn't do through his own business efforts. And the way he got into this was just very strange.
Do you recall any evidence forensically linking Mark back to the wrappings that were on the body of Baldwin, or any?
Well, that's why.
Or sorry,
that's why the No, I'm sorry. That's why the truck is so important. That when they made that contact with the truck, you find in that truck the material that was used to wrap his body. You found cable material, duct tape, and we did have experts from the California Department of Justice come in and testify about the fact that I believe it was the cable. There was a match involved that they could say that cable had been used to wrap the body or secure the boat motor to the body, so that with Mark, being the one in possession of that in that truck, that is a forensic link to him in the crime. And there's duct tape too in there because the body was wrapped with duct tape, and we did have some work done on that. And the duct tape, from a forensic standpoint, it's kind of like looking at a bullet rifling. You know how you have stripes and things that appear when someone's been shot? Well, you can look at the construction of duct tape, and it will have unique patterns as far as the material that's used in the duct tape roll. And that duct tape roll had the same type of stripe markings that the ones that were found on the body had. So you had that type of a link forensically. In those days, what was it, 1982 or so?
Yes.
DNA was not really a thing that was. It was out there, I guess. Basically in Great Britain at that point.
Yes, it was.
But but it really was not something that was being used regularly like it is now. So we didn't have that type of DNA material available, or even probably the training or knowledge on how to look for that.
I believe there was a bloody paw mark.
Oh, yes. Yeah. What before DNA, what was used was the standard blood typing work that can be done when you find a blood sample or bodily fluids, and you can get ABO typing, things of that nature, as well as some other markers. And what was found at the murder scene, which was the classic garage owned by Baldwin, on a bumper was the bloody palm print of Hoover. That was there.
His current wife goes on she's been on a number of talk shows. I mean, she continues because they don't vet her and they'll just take her on to tell a story. And in most of those shows, she talks about Mr. Baldwin being a child pornographer, and that Mark found out that he was actually making child porn. I don't believe that was ever in the court case. And as I spoke to Walt, it wasn't. As I spoke to Detective Costa, he did say to me that had even come up at the time, that would have been in the court case.
It would have been part of whatever was presented. We don't try to, your victims come in all shades as to what their characters are like. That, as horrible as that type of a thing would have been, it would have been something that would have been rolled into the case as part of the material. It would have been obvious if that had come into the case that it would have been something, again, that can be pointed to that Mark Richards would have used.
What do you recall of Mark's mother, Lois? And
she was an enabler, I think, of him. She was extremely protective of him. That's about what I can say. She definitely, I think, was part of Mark's problem with his mother. But
that's interesting. And what do you remember of Mark's father in the court case?
Not, to be honest, not a lot. He was not in physically a very good condition, as I recall at the time. One of the things I did pick up in looking at this material that's been floating out here is how Mark is referred to as a naval officer or something. He was not a captain. Yeah, which is just ludicrous. He was never in the military that I'm aware of. Now the father was I'm told was a different situation. He did have some military contact was a respected military man, I believe, but his son, Mark, was not a captain in the Navy by any means. So I don't know where that all comes from.
So with his father, then, was he in a wheelchair during the court case?
Yeah, and that's what I recall, is that he was in a wheelchair. And I really had very little to no contact with him.
I believe he had a metal plate in his head as well.
Yeah, he could have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So he was wheeled in by Lois into the court, I guess.
Yeah, I believe he did accompany her, or she brought him to court, I believe.
In the wheelchair, yeah. Okay, because obviously at the Mark at the time is saying that you know, him and his father were, you know, there was various missions they were doing abroad and stuff, and I find that difficult to believe in his ill health at that time.
Yeah, I would doubt that. I just can't believe he was doing anything along those lines.
Now, Joanne states that she has the autopsy photos, or she did have the autopsy photos, and according to her, the photo of Mr. Baldwin where it was wearing the wrong pants at the time the body was discovered, and this could not have been Mr. Baldwin, because anyone that knew Mr. Baldwin knows that he only wore shorts, and when the body was recovered, he was wearing pants. The body was wearing pants.
I don't know what she's referring to, or whether there's any truth to the fact she has autopsy photos. I don't know anything about that.
Joanne states that the death of Mr. Baldwin was changed 3 times.
What do you mean by changed 3 times?
Well, she's saying that the death date, I do apologize, the death date of Mr. Baldwin was changed 3 times.
Well, one of the issues was trying to exactly pin down when the actual killing occurred. As the charging documents usually are worded in the sense on or about whatever the date is. Remember, his body was found on a certain day floating, and then trying to backtrack back to when the actual killing occurred. You know, that becomes more of an issue, a difficult issue to say exactly that it was, you know, July the 6th or July the 7th, or in a range. It was never consciously changed because there was some, you know, nefarious reason to change it. It was trying to be as accurate as we could about when the actual killing occurred.
Joanne Richards uses this term that all the
again, what she says, I mean, when you look at these other things she claims to be happening, how can you give her any credibility on anything that she says?
She talks about something. She says that all the people involved, the kids involved especially, had family ties to what she calls the New World Order, and that the New World Order hated Mark, and you know, this was a crime to put Mark away as a political crime.
I've no information that we ever gathered there's anything close to that existed. Again, Richards was manipulating these people. They were not, it was not the reverse situation in any way.
Absolutely. Mr. Aaron Richards claims as well that Andrew's testimony was hearsay, and he never witnessed the death of Baldwin. And usually, she says, in U.S. courts, you're not allowed to use hearsay testimony in U.S. courts.
He could testify, and did testify, to what he had knowledge of. And hearsay does have exceptions that can be used if it goes to what we call admissions. As to the fact that if Mark was telling them that here's how this murder could happen, those could be statements that now could be retold. They're hearsay in the sense that, you know, Mark's not on the stand telling these things or whatever at the time, but they are exceptions to the hearsay rule, having to do with admissions or co-conspirator statements used to accomplish the object of a conspiracy, which would be the killing of Richards. I mean, there are exceptions. So just a blanket statement that hearsay can't be used in some fashion is not a correct statement of the law.
She also, Miss Joanne Richards, states that Andrew Campbell, well, sorry, I should just say Andrew, changed his testimony at least 3 times to suit the DA's narrative.
I don't, again, I really don't know how to comment on that. He told what he could recall. He answered questions that he was asked. Could there be inconsistencies? Sometimes. Most witnesses do. From time to time, there are some inconsistencies, but the substance of what he said is strongly supported by all the corroborative evidence. And I don't think there was major inconsistencies that would cast his testimony in doubt as to what he or what happened.
If Mark had served in the military, right, that would have been in his case, in his defense, wouldn't it? I mean,
well, I would assume as part of what you could, I don't know if the records are still available or not, the probation investigation and reports that would lead to, that had to be prepared before final sentence was pronounced and things of this nature, they go into backgrounds and check things out like that. I have nothing that shows that he was active military at the time. Again, his father was.
Yes.
But as far as him, no, I have no information on that.
So when you hear that now that he's going by Captain Mark Richards, and even on the interview, the number of interview shows that Joanne's doing, where they talk about, they refer to Mark as Captain. How does that make you feel when you hear that?
Well, I think it's disgusting, for one thing, and the Navy. I'm sure the Navy. I'm probably not even paying that much attention to what he's doing at the moment, but they would certainly. I would think find that to be very offensive. A naval captain is a high position in their chain of custody. I mean, that's a higher level officer than just an introductory ensign or something. That's somebody that's been there for a while, has worked their way through the chain of command, and a naval captain is not an insignificant position.
Just to let you know, at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum, his wife has laid an honor with Captain Mark Richards and his father.
I'm going to go ahead and pause it there. I just wanted to get that little section here, and I'm